And you know, such is the power. I think of this as the EU's hideous strength, borrowing a phrase from one of C.S. Lewis's adult novels. Its hideous strength. And its hideous strength was on display in a very unusual way the day before yesterday, when Nigel Farage made a speech sitting just in front of me in the European Parliament, in which he was very, I mean, he's always angry about something or other, isn't he? But he was particularly angry that day about the EU's failure to say anything about the Catalan referendum. Now, in fairness, this is also what all the Catalan politicians are saying, but there's an important difference. The Catalan politicians want a United States of Europe. Right? It's perfectly natural for them to look to Brussels as a kind of guardian now. Nigel has spent the last 20 years telling Brussels to keep its nose out of the internal affairs of its member states, and now even he takes it for granted that the EU is such a political union that of course it has to have a position on the question of Catalan independence. This is the way in which it's been transformed, as you say, from an association of states into a single entity. Now, here's again why I'm optimistic. I don't want to overdo this, right? Because there is always the possibility of a Corbyn government, and that would put more than a dent in my optimism. But here's why I'm optimistic about Brexit and about the geopolitical future here. The direction of movement in the EU is completely against the tide of world affairs. This centralisation is the opposite of what's happening in Catalonia and Kurdistan and everywhere else. 2 weeks ago at the LSE, Guy Verhofstadt said, "The future belongs to empires like the EU. Only united blocs like the EU will have any influence." Now, I mean, just as a statement of fact, that is not quite true, is it? I mean, think about it. What's the direction of travel in the world? When the EU was founded in the 1950s, there were 80 states in the world. Now there are 200, of which the last 30 have come into existence since 1990, most recently Kosovo, Montenegro, and South Sudan. And as we see in Kurdistan and Catalonia, there's no sign of this process slowing down. There are independence movements everywhere making the argument that multinational states don't work and that we should be taking decisions more closely to the people that they affect. The EU, pretty much uniquely, is going in the opposite direction. And ultimately, I don't think it is going with the grain of history or with the grain of human nature. And that's why we have been wise to step off now. And I thought this was the toughest argument during the campaign, because there is a very natural status quo bias for all of us. You know, we're all small c conservative on one level. And the strongest argument I thought Remain had was, is it so bad? You know, I mean, maybe it's undemocratic and maybe it's corrupt and so on, but why is it so urgent? You know, why do we need a revolution? And of course, the counter argument was because it's not a settled outcome. It's a constantly evolving dynamic. If you're in it, you're on a conveyor belt. You're not staying where you are. Or to put it another way, the way I would say it in speeches is, imagine that you're on a bus heading in the wrong direction, right? You've sat down, you've looked up, and you've suddenly seen it's going the wrong way. You know, it's saying quite clearly Federal Europe as the destination. They keep telling you that. Now, if you don't want to go to that destination, do you literally stay where you are? Or don't you step off the bus and then wave it in a cheerful manner on its way? And that's what we did last year. We stepped off the bus, and now the challenge is to make sure that the new relationship we put in place is a mutually beneficial and friendly one. Yeah. Sir, yeah.